Like to call the meeting to order. Thanks for everybody coming. We have a nice full house tonight. We need a motion to adopt the agenda with one addition. We need to have an executive session to deal with an incident with individuals on highway issue. Somebody want to make a motion to accept the addition? Second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay. We have the minutes of May 20th to approve. Are there any additions or corrections to these minutes as presented? Yeah. No,
I don't have any.
Somebody make a motion to accept. So move. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, fire pond dredging. Who was the? Robbie.
I just wanted to put that on the Selectboard radar that the fire pond probably should be dredged out at some point, just because stuff is growing up. As things get plugged up into the system and stuff, and there's probably be some issues if we need to get water. Ponds just haven't needed every now and then.
How many?
I have no idea if it's ever been done.
Oh, it's been done. I don't know how long ago.
Right, but there is like little popple trees growing up on the sides and stuff. Honestly, I never thought about it until this was leaking up here in the road, so you know, talking about the stuff and trying to do the system to deal with that. We kind of got thinking about it.
Does anybody know how it was done before? Did we put it up to bid or? I don't know. I know. I guess we should put it up to bid. You know?
I just wanted to put it on your radar.
Well, I think you're right. I think it should be. I don't know if there's something town could do. I don't think so. We don't have the equipment, do we, Colby? No?
I remember looking at the plans and looking at the way it was built and so on and so forth. There's quite a few set down there. Before I put it out to bid, I'd have somebody with some knowledge of dredging a pond look at those plans and draw up a scope of work, because you could really screw up that pond very easily if you don't know what you do. It isn't simply draining a pond. You've got to make sure you don't block the drain. It's really important that. So I would have somebody look at it. If you're going to do it, have somebody look at it, study what's there and plan what needs to be done. Draw up a scope of work and have it, and then have it supervised when they're doing the work. Because it's our partisan.
No, I understand.
We don't have any money to do it.
No,
Well, that's the question.
yeah.
Robbie, how many fire ponds are we talking about?
The fire pond feeds the hydrants.
On fire. On Fire Pond Road?
Yeah.
You're not talking about the fire
No,
ponds
I'm
that are on
talking
the
about
hill?
that one.
Okay.
All the other ones are, I mean, except for like the town pool.
But the only thing is, we didn't budget for that, so there is
That's
no
why,
money.
that's
So
why I
that-
thought I'd put it on your radar.
That's something that we can make a note of and budget it for next year.
Now, isn't there some money from the Wyndham Foundation for the hydrant system too? That was,
It's for the hydrant system. I don't know if it covers the pond.
well, it's all part of it.
Well, I don't know what the document says. I know it covers the pipes and the hydrant. I know that the leak here was covered, but it was coming out of town. But let's look into it. We'll look into it and see.
No,
I
that's
can
all.
remember when it was dredged last. I know it was dredged, because I remember. But I don't know how long ago, and I don't know who did it.
That's all I wanted, because it's one of those things that is, easy to forget about. everybody.
My father seems to think it was late 1980s. It was last dredged.
Could have been.
Early 90s. So,
I was on the board, I know that when it was done, but I don't remember who did it or when, it was a long time ago. Yeah, okay.
Did you use that pond, Robbie? Do you use that pond that you're talking about for any trainings, or you just use the pond on Houghton Building?
We use all of them to have dry hydrants, but we don't draft out of that one because we have the hydrants
Oh, okay,
to use.
okay.
Have you done all the fire hydrant, the ponds, dry hydrants this year so far?
No, not all.
Are you gonna do more?
Yes, most of them, the draft. Yeah, last month we did. We did 4 or 5. It was kind of a last minute decision to do for training, so we just did a bundle once, so that's why you're listening to that.
Okay. Anything else? Workers' compensation discussion, that's a problem. Because what it's doing is, we have, Randall Bean who cleans the office, and we can't hire him anymore either, because he doesn't have workers' compensation. And, it's anybody who works for the town, who's not an employee, has to have workers' compensation. Yes?
He's actually, we have him listed as a contractor.
Okay, yeah, but he,
No, he's yeah.
no, it's, if he,
But have you asked Randy?
no, I'm just saying,
Okay.
it's a problem, and we had an incident, I think, with Matt Hazeltine did something,
Yeah,
and for $150, I think it was on the thing, well, he can't do that anymore.
yeah, we would want to ask Randy for sure, just to
Right.
double check. and so.
But I mean, the problem is that any of the local contractors who wanna do work and have a bid, and they don't have workers' comp, they're not allowed to work for the town. We gave out a bid for, Nathaniel Noyes to fix the front of the town hall where the concrete is all bad. He can't, unless he has workers' compensation, he can't fix it. Still,
What is the cost to the town if we wanted to hire them and pay for what the next
I
cost?
don't know, Kim would know that.
It depends on what category they fall under, so there's a percentage, which I had last time, I don't have to. But it's unpredictable, so it makes it really difficult to budget from year to year, not knowing who you're gonna hire and how much you're gonna spend. And who are you going to cover, which doesn't make it fair for those who do spend out of their pocket an exorbitant amount to carry it. When why would they even leave it? For some and not all. Why would they carry it?
Now,
So
Morgan,
you can't really budget.
you called a couple of towns,
Yeah, I called Townsend. They had not been aware of this issue at all.
right?
Chester had not been aware of it, and they're also still waiting on feedback from their massive audit. And then Springfield, they were aware of it, and they try their best to hire people just who carry workers' comp, but they said that they do make some exceptions depending on the scope of work for the job. So they gave an example about they have somebody bi-weekly mow a walking path, and so the town just covers the workers' comp exposure charge for that. I have a question. I don't know if Morgan or Kim can answer it. If someone is a contractor by themselves, they don't hire anybody, they don't have any employees, do they have to have workman's comp?
For a municipality, but for any other job out in the real world, they're okay, they're exempt,
Okay,
but because it's a municipality.
okay, that's the whole thing.
And the biggest cost is anything to do with highway work. Any kind of trucking, any kind of construction and flaggers, they're at the highest level. But you take administration, it's hardly even, an amount, I mean, it's very minimal. Cemetery work is right up there also with, the highway crew, they're sucking them on. Because working with equipment, it's anything with equipment, it's huge.
So I don't know what. I don't know what to do. I mean, we've reached out to our town attorney to ask him, and maybe it's gotta be a legislation needs to do something to make some exceptions for small towns. Big towns is one thing, but small towns, where you have local people, it's bad that they can't have an opportunity to work with them. Right.
I
Yeah.
don't, there's.
Yes, Alan.
I understand where you're coming from and trying to look out for the local person. But I also think you have to look at it the other way too. And Irene was a good example. At one point, we had 58 trucks in town at the peak of that event. Some of those had workman's comp and some didn't.
Right.
And if there was a serious accident that happened, you know, the town stood to be liable for that. And if you're paying all the trucks the same rate, you're paying the person without the workman's comp the same rate as the company that's carrying workman's comp. That's not fair either. So you have to look at both sides of the coin.
I agree, but the other side of the coin too is that if you have individuals who don't have it, you might not have 50 trucks, you might only have 25, and then you can't complete the work.
That's the choice you have to make.
I just think the choice too, you've got to look over the. We're supposed to look out for the entire town of 500 and some odd people opposed to a handful of small contractors. I know it's sad, but a lawsuit really could do some damage to the town. And that's why it's put in there.
Well, we have no choice, we have to, anybody working for the town has to have workers' comp. But the question now is, should the town pick up part of their cost and charge them for it, or not, and that's really what the question is. It's not a question of whether you should do it or don't, it's a foregone. We cannot hire anybody who doesn't have workers' comp, period.
It seems like if you're gonna pay somebody, you're gonna pick up part of somebody's cost that doesn't have it, then you should give a bonus to somebody that does have it, because otherwise it's not apples and apples.
Bill?
What if somebody wins a bid and part of that bid is requires that he has workers' comp and he's willing to pay for it? Well, that should be in every bid. And that's,
No, any bid to do highway work, they have to have a workers' comp policy and all that kind of stuff.
But isn't VLCT saying that they want the person covered and they're gonna charge the town if they're not covered?
No.
So
I don't know.
why can't we just pay VLCT? That isn't the situation. They find us if they find out we use somebody, they charge us for the time they were working for a workers' comp fee, right? Okay, call them when you're hiring a guy. What is it for Nathaniel Noyes to fix our front lawn? What is that in workers' comp? It's $200. Nathan, are you willing to pay $200? Yes, okay, $200, and then you got the job. What's wrong with that?
That's an option.
No, that's the way to do it. That certainly is an option. So I think the board needs should have some more time to think about this, but that might be one way to solve the problem.
It's based on their price.
Yeah, but
Percentage.
it's based on their price, but like in Nathaniel Noyes' case, he wasn't required to have workman's comp. So he bid a certain price. If he was required to have it, his price might have been higher. Yeah.
But going forward in all bids that we send out, do we write a provision saying that all contractors are required to have
Yes.
workers' comp? Or are we gonna make
We did.
something in there that says if you do not, then we will be charging you a fee based on what you're bidding on.
Well, that's a way, I don't know if the board wants to do that, if somebody wants to make a motion, but, I mean, that is a way to do it. Then the
I just think
contractor,
no matter what, it needs to be clear going forward.
Right, we making the motion.
Bill,
Well, right now, when we hire them, we make them sign, so we can go to people who have workers' comp. We make them sign that they have workers' comp.
right,
And we make the owner of the company sign that if he's working on the job, he is not covered by workers' comp, and he waives liability of the town. We make him sign that discussion right now. That's what so those with workers' comp have to sign that waiver.
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so it isn't that much different. But make sure that this person who's a single, who doesn't have any employees, therefore doesn't have workers' comp, he buys workers' comp through VLCT for the job. But I don't see that there's a big problem.
Budgeting wise it is,
Pardon?
budgeting wise it is. Because you don't know what to budget for year to year, what projects are you gonna have that are under 5,000, or that's not involved with the road.
No,
He's paying that.
shouldn't be the budget, Tim, he's paying more money,
It's receivable, so you still have to somehow
yeah,
build it in.
Okay.
yeah, but you don't have the budget for it, because you're not picking up the cost. Yes, back up.
We pointed this out at the last meeting, the other problem, if you pick up the workman's comp, or even if they pay for it, they're on the town's policy, is that correct?
Yeah.
And so if this is an accident were to occur, and I think this is what I can say about, it would, force the town's experience rating up. Whereas if they had to carry their own workman's comp policy, the town would not, experience rating would not. That's right.
If they got hurt, we would be paying for the next 4 years.
So that's like a double, repeated and.
So they should get their own unemployment insurance.
But if you say to them, well, yeah, we'll call the LCT and it costs X number to do this job, then they're going to be on your policy, not the town's policy.
Yeah,
Not their own.
Then they have.
And if they have an accident, then it's a town's policy that gets hit with
yeah,
experience.
I agree,
That experience rate is really painful, we know that.
oh, I know. No,
On top
but,
of a possible loss.
no, I think they have to get their own, workman's comp.
Yeah, Patrick makes a very good one.
Yeah. That's something, if you wanna do that, somebody make a motion, we can certainly do that, if not, we can put it back on the agenda again.
I think we have to be clear with whether. If we're putting out bids, we need to have something in that bid that Morgan is saying. So they know upfront what the costs are gonna be and what BLCT is gonna offer.
Well, if you put out your bids that you have to have workman's comp, and the person doesn't wanna have it, then they don't bid. It's not simple as all that. So, I mean, really, every bid that goes out, even if it's just to paint the side of the building. You have to have workman's comp.
It's the jobs that, the small jobs, they're the ones that you're having problem with.
Yeah,
What's your bid policy? Is it 5,000 or less? So the small job, none of that, you not change that policy, right? Because you don't put those out to bid, right?
some we do, some we don't. But I mean, the policy should be that nobody can work unless they have workman's comp. That's it, period. I mean, that's what you want to do, that's what. And that should go into every bid. And any person that you hire, even if you don't bid it out, that has to be an understanding, because they have to have workers' comp.
So that includes folks that are under $5,000 to do the work.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
workers' comp.
Yeah. You wanna make a motion, or you wanna think about it? I mean, no rush, we can't hire anybody to have it, I mean, we can certainly think about it.
Yeah, but you've got people already working without it.
Yeah, I know,
Well, I don't think it's gonna hurt if we put a policy out there that says, in order to work for our municipality, which is town, we have to have workers' comp.
So what are you gonna do with the people that don't have it, or that are working now?
Well, I guess you're gonna have to get that fee, right? I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. It's not fair.
If I help the town with the flood work, and I
It
bought,
makes sense. It doesn't make sense.
It does.
It's not a
because
very good thing for the,
We live in a litigious society. I'm sorry, I mean, when I first heard about it, I agreed, but you know, everybody sues everybody and it's big exposure for the town.
well, it does hurt just one person. It hurts the other person.
if I help the town with the flood work, and I bought workman's comp is $2,400. They could buy
That's for 1 year.
1 year.
Can you get a short-term one?
Not yet, not the weeks that are all night, and
No, I mean, I don't know if there's a. I don't know if you can go to an insurance company and get a temporary workman's comp policy. I don't know enough about it.
As far as the blood thing, that's, once it's a state of emergency, all of that's are off.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's what I thought.
I don't know. That's how they quote us. No,
No, because the last one that we just
Yeah,
had,
no.
we got hit for
Yeah.
$7,000 covered.
no, it has nothing to do with that.
Hmm.
Emergency and no emergency, you have to have workman's comp to work for the town.
I think there's a fine line there. And the fine line is, if John is working for the town as a, temporary employee, he's been an employee of the town.
Yes,
That's different than hiring a contractor.
well, no,
but I'm not working with that, I'm working as a contractor.
I guess you're gonna have to get it.
either that or work as an employee, I'll do it.
Or don't do it.
I'll do it.
Which I haven't been doing.
So when you did the paperwork for FEMA,
Yeah.
were you working as
A contract.
a contractor?
There was a charge for his work.
Yeah.
That is a 7,000.
So what do you want to do? You want to think about it, and do it at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, highway report, school bus stop sign,
Does Colby want to give his report before we go into that?
okay.
Almost everything is complete on Anderson Road now. We have one ditch that I missed. I didn't bring the paper with me, and so I missed it. I just gotta go back. Probably an hour to finish it, and then Morgan can turn that in.
That was grant work.
Yep, for the last year's grant, so that they give us an extension on. The crossing on 35, we are gonna pave that tomorrow. And right now, we're working on Red Orchard Road, and we're gonna be replacing a couple culverts, and we're gonna ditch the whole road. While we're up there, we got some trees up there we're gonna cut. And then right after that, we're gonna move to Stagecoach, hopefully M&M will be done out there. And start that grant work and try to get that done. That's all I really got right now.
Oh, some of the roads are really dirty, dusty.
Yeah.
Fluoride we could use, you know.
Yeah, we were gonna set the truck up, we've been using the truck, all 3 trucks right now. It's supposed to start raining on Wednesday, so. I won't be putting the tank in it this week, but when the rain stops, the tank will be good going in the truck, and it'll be staying in the truck for the rest of the summer.
What about mowing?
I have finished our first round of bamboo. And I'm gonna give it probably another 2 or 3 weeks, and we're gonna start mowing everything.
Okay, anybody have anything to pull in? Kim?
Just so you guys know, the road crew got a really great compliment today from some people on Anderson. They said, excellent, they love the ditching, they're hoping it's gonna make a huge improvement this winter. So good. A lot of compliments.
Good. Always good to hear that. Okay, now, what's the school
So.
bus sign all about?
The corner on 121 East, by the intersection of Ledge Road and 121,
Yeah,
there's a school bus, the school bus stops at one of those.
oh, so we need one of those stop signs?
Well, we would need two, and I did some research. One sign is about $120. And I believe Colby would need a post, is that right?
I need 2 posts and 2 signs, if we're gonna do that.
And the post is $74 per post.
Did you get an anchor price too?
Anchor price is $29 per anchor. So,
Well, do we should do that, right?
I mean, it is a safety concern because the cars go really fast around that corner and there's been a few close calls with the school bus and talk about an accident, that's the last thing we want.
Well, you have them on other roads, so why not do this one?
I just need approval to.
And I can contest today, this is the second time I come home right at the time of the bus, and you come right around the corner, it's like the bus is there. It is really a surprise. And I don't
Do we need a
find that-
motion to buy this sign or we can do it? Okay, somebody make a motion that we install this
So,
Second.
discussion. All in favor? Say aye. Okay, all right. Colby, buy the sign.
I got it.
Okay, whatever.
Yes.
Morgan, you want to talk about the transportation award?
Yeah. So on our April 1st meeting, we signed a project commitment form, which was essentially the town agreeing to the local fund, like, having the match for that grant and going through the process. And I was a little bit overwhelmed because when I spoke with the representative from V-Trans, it sounded like a really long, extensive process for this grant. But then I called Chester and spoke with the town manager there, and she said that this representative really walks you through all of the steps. So even though it is pretty daunting, I think it's definitely doable that some of the town could go forward with. And I know there was some hesitations about going forward with this grant because it is significant. And there's potential that we would need more funds later on. The grant was for $287,000 with a local funds match of 71, and there is potential that the culvert price will go up. But I just worry that that's a lot of money not to.
I don't see how you can't take it.
what was our share?
71.
And where were we gonna get 71,000 from?
Well, at the April meeting, Hardy said that if we were to lease the loader, there would be some extra money from that. Because in the capital budget, it was expected to finance it. I don't know specifically what would be left from that.
Well, there is also money in capital budget proposals.
Yeah, I'm concerned that we don't know how much of the FEMA money that we've spent that we're gonna get back. Are we gonna get the whole 700,000, 800 or not? I don't think we have a clue as to how much it is. And we're also overspending the budget. And I know it's a lot of money to hate to not use it, but we're gonna come up with $70,000 someplace.
Yeah, but if you don't fix it and it goes, you're gonna have to come up with $300,000 or more.
It been, it's sort of blood FEMA take care of it.
Well,
Do you know what the town share will be for FEMA?
Generally, those grants are 25%.
No, like the FEMA, what will the town have to pay for the flood work that happened last summer?
I don't know, but it should be, our share should be 12.5%. The state share should be 12.5%.
Okay.
Or, but they've been talking 10, no one will tell me what it is. But with regard to, is this is the culvert on
Chester, sorry, Fisher Hill.
Fisher Hill.
Fisher Hill? And isn't this the one that you're saying that it won't be done for 3 years?
Yes.
I know I talked to, I would submit for it, but I would talk to Alyssa
Okay.
down at they have $90 million in the state for projects, and they're dying for projects. So I would see if they could do 10 and 13. And just call her and have her come out, but the state was out in Londonderry today on that very same thing, that they want to fund a bunch of stuff, but they want to spend the $90 million.
Why don't we do a little more research, since it's not something we have to do tomorrow?
Okay.
Any other highway issues? Kobe?
Morgan, before you call, see if, the school bus stops on Eastman Road first.
If it's on there.
If, no, the school bus still stops there, because if it doesn't stop there anymore, which I don't think it does, I'll just take those signs and move it out there.
Yeah, I will call, I'll call tomorrow.
Okay.
Good idea.
I have a question.
Good.
Colby, did you check out where the school, where the people park?
Yeah, I looked at that, and
Go?
if, when the school does the paving for their parking lot, I mean. I'll do the dirt work for it to get it prepped. Really, it should be paved around it. I put material in there over and over and over again, and they just keep forcing it further and further in the ground, so. I mean, really, if they wanna dig it out, I'll put sure back in there and then pave over a little spot right there. If the school can do that.
So that doesn't involve any drain problem?
There is a drain right there, but I think they can pave around the drain, which actually would probably help the drain too, less dirt washing into the drain.
Yeah, I have no date when they're coming for basin, this is sometime this summer, so.
Yeah. Well, if it's something that they can add into it, then I'd be more than happy to do all the prep work to get it ready.
Oh, thanks.
Anything else on the highway? If not, Kim, do you wanna talk about this wonderful thing that we have to do now from Act 76?
Okay, did everybody have a chance to read it? Do you have any questions on it? It's pretty basic. The Act 76, which was created in 2023, but now is taking effect as of July 1st. And the Act 176 is to help support early education along with childcare contribution. And so every employer has to pay the state of Vermont 0.0044% on all wages paid. Now, we can pay the full 0.0044%, or we can opt to collect up to and only up to 0.0011 from the employee, and then we would have to make up the 0.33. So some of the towns are choosing to do just the 0.0044 and not bothering with the employee. If you're self-employed, you will still have to pay those taxes, but those are only at 0.0011. So if anybody wants more education, if you're self-employed, anything that you get paid throughout the year, you're gonna have to pay those taxes. When at the end of your tax season. If you make too much, you should make quarterlies. So I just did a couple of numbers. I took our entire general fund and our entire highway fund of just the payroll. Okay, because that's all we care about. And if we were doing the full 0.0044 for next year, it would come to a total of $1,745.92 across the town.
Can you say that under?
$1,745.92.
If you do the other way, what does it cost the employee?
I didn't do it if we did it at 33 and then 11. Because that would be based on each individual employee. So you make less, and when I say the whole general, that's every lister, every ballot clerk, anybody that's on the actual payroll, not a contractor.
Well, even a selectman, right?
Yes, because you haven't done, yes.
Right.
Yeah, So that's like everybody, and that's for the full year.
Personally, I think the town should cover it and get it over with. That's just my personal feeling.
The few towns that have replied that are talking about giving that, they are covering the 0.0044%.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair for them to take it out of the employee's pay personally.
I just need direction before July 1st, because that's the time when I can start doing that like this.
Does anybody want to make a motion or want to talk about it or?
Was that including when you came up with this figure, 1,745 and change? Did that include any of the increases that they're gonna get? For the year?
It's what we budgeted for the upcoming
Just
fiscal
budgeted.
year, so the July 1 fiscal year, I took it out of the town report. And even probably some of that might be high because I think we went kind of high on the highway this year, not knowing what we were gonna do about a fourth person. So, that all depends.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if you're self-employed, if you live in Vermont and you work in New Hampshire, do they still have to pay the childcare?
If
I don't
you
think
live in
they do.
Vermont, working in New Hampshire, no, you're not required, New Hampshire's not required to contribute to it. From what I mean, you can, it does say it in there that if you'd like to, you can. But I don't think it's a requirement. But I believe if it's the opposite, if you live in if you work in Vermont and live in New Hampshire, you have to contribute to the Vermont.
Yeah.
Anybody have a feeling?
I think it's, you know,
They are.
Yeah, so make a motion?
So,
Can you say for the town to cover the 0.0044%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, committee reports?
I have something else to add.
Okay, sorry, Kim.
I'm just letting you know to, I submitted to, Morgan, the dog list for unregistered dogs as of April 1st, and had to June 1st to go from, to come in and register. I think there's 16 of them. Those who have not yet are now, as of today, got a letter sent actually, from Lincoln County Sheriff's Office from Ashley, our animal control officer. And they now have 30 days, and then they are to respond to our animal control officer. And it states that there's fines involved in it because we are contracted with them.
Good.
But it's by statute, I have to give it to you by June 1st meeting, so. And Morgan said she'll put it with the minutes.
Good. Parks Committee, one in the bid? No?
Well, I'll review the bids, looked through them. Do you want to speak to that?
I can, I mean, it's pretty easy, you had multiple bids, but only one within the budget. I asked the select board at the last meeting if you wanted to make any effort to hire anybody above that bid, and you said you didn't have any money. So, essentially, we either pick the bid that is within budget or we don't do it. And I met with a contractor that supplied the bid that's within budget. And we had a pretty good chat, and I met with Morgan, and we wrote up I guess you'd say kind of a contract or what the town would do and what the contractor would do. And one of the statements in that proposal is that contractor would adhere to or address the issues that we discussed as we walked through in our show. And Morgan kept notes of the discussion that took place and the recommendations or what. So all the contractors knew what our intention was, and that contractors would, if you approve, that contractor would say, I understand the discussion and agree to carry out as we discussed. So, based on that, I would say that we go with the bid that was within budget, which is Ivor's budget. It was
26.
26,000.
In that description, you address the drainage issue?
Yes, that
Yeah,
was
that's
addressed.
in there. And you have a copy of it, right, of the discussion that would,
Yeah,
that it would probably be appropriate to read it and let people hear what it was, and then if you agree to that, you would sign it on behalf of the town, and then the contractor, but if he agrees to it, he would sign it, and we move forward. But one of the things that was discussed was if we should shut down the village park or limit the access where the work is being done. And when I talked with Ivor, he said his intention is that he would bring material into the parking lot, and then not all material, but bring a batch of material in and then get it dispersed, and then later bring another batch in. So he says it would take some time to do the whole project, and he says he didn't really see it was beneficial to shut down the park, because if you shut it down, then you have a false sense of security that nobody's there, and then you really are surprised. So it's almost better to operate under the assumption you have to pay attention in case somebody shows up. But we should put signs up that lets the public know that we're doing work and where the area of work is, and hopefully they would avoid that on their own once they go.
Yeah, I think the sign should also say at your own risk.
Well, whatever you want to write. Yeah.
Well, I think that's, they do that with highways, so that somebody knows that there's a construction and you're going there and you understand that's what it is.
But I look at that as details, the concept is there.
So what are you suggesting, that we look at the thing and sign it? Is that?
Well, my hope is that Morgan reads what we wrote, and if you have something you need to add to it or change it, then you would do that. Otherwise, if you agree with it, you sign it and get, I've already signed it, and that's it. He did say that, he would schedule the work to be done this season, which technically it doesn't have to be done until next year, the way the grant's written. But we would like to see it, it's been so long, we'd like to see it wrapped up this year. He said that it would be on the schedule unless the weather changes and it gets really wet.
Right.
He has to work around that. So.
I'm happy to read it. So the town of Grafton Select Board agrees to do the following. Allow the selected contractor to use the village parking area to stage materials. Close the red trail if desired by contractor. And within that, notify the public and appropriate stakeholders about closing the trail, and work closely with the contractor to determine the time frame for closure. But that section can be taken out. Ensure the road foreman consults with the contractor to obtain the appropriate access permits. Appoints a member of the select board to communicate with the contractor performing the work. And that payment for the project will be paid once the work done by the contractor is complete. And then the selected contractor agrees to do the following. Perform the scope of work as described in the request for proposals. Shape the trail, install culverts, and address drainage issues as described during the site visit. Operate with the appropriate insurance as described in the request for proposals. And then I copied and pasted the whole bit about workers' compensation and liability insurance. communicate with the select board and or the authorized representative efficiently and effectively. This could include giving periodic updates and or discussions of questions that may arise during the construction phase. And then finally, submit payment when the work is complete. So if I take out the, trail closure. Do you have any other opinions or thoughts on that?
When he's completed his work, it's somebody gonna do like a checklist to walk through it.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a good idea. Yeah,
I don't. Don't know if you're going to have a select person that's monitoring, but I expected out of personal interest in the project that I would
Yeah.
continue to communicate and check in and monitor what's going on. But when it's all done, we're gonna need to do some photo documentation to assure that we get the payment from the state that's passed through federal grant. We need to document.
and I'm happy to do the, final photos and everything, but the direct communication with the contractor, I think I should.
Yeah, well, I'm on the committee, so I'll do that.
Okay.
With you.
And I do like the idea that, I know it's gonna be there. It really, not so much supervised, but you know what you're looking for.
Right.
If I walk through it, I wouldn't know.
So I have a question after all this discussion that's already taken place tonight. So what if I go up there and decide, geez, I could do a little work here. I have a volunteer agreement. Can I work with Igor as a volunteer? If I'm not getting paid, does a volunteer agreement cover that?
Yeah,
I don't know, that's a good question.
We wouldn't have workman's comp, we wouldn't have any of that.
If you were working-
I'm there as a volunteer.
You're not gonna pay the.
Okay, just wanted to get that out front, just in case.
If you were working under my board, would you, if you did have an accident, wouldn't you be covered by his insurance?
I don't know.
Things.
Yeah, you signed it.
Which he, all of the volunteers already signed up for the.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So that.
So I wouldn't worry about it.
So it's just a coincidence, he's up there and made that time where it's going with wants to be a volunteer.
So you're on.
So if Alan's up there and he falls and breaks an ankle or whatever,
Well, that's no different than if I was up there building lead to himself.
Exactly.
That, I've already signed that with.
Right, so it's
That's gonna be different there. The issue is if I was working to assist, I would, as a volunteer.
do we need a motion for this? I don't think so.
You need a motion to accept the bid and to appoint Alice. Authorized representative for discussion.
All right, somebody wanna make that motion?
no,
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, Alan? Go ahead.
thank you.
Yep.
For all your work.
I hope it works out, hope it comes out nice. Cemetery, the cemetery committee, we have an issue that we're gonna have to discuss, is that Mike Wagner is supposed to fix the rest of the stones. And now he can't do it. And it's a shame, because we fixed the two cemeteries, and there were two cemeteries that should be fixed, and it's a disgrace to have these stones there, but I don't know who's gonna go do it.
I can get in touch with that in Tennessee and see if they all do stone repair and stuff. Most I can say.
Well, I think we should, because, I mean, we started the project and we need to finish it somehow.
I'll get in touch with Mike first and just verify and make sure and then, talk with him, explain to him and then I'll let him have a see.
Right, but I mean, I think we need to complete it. If it is unsightly to go down and see stones all on the ground and not repaired.
And this is because it's,
Yeah, what's coming. Personnel?
Do you have an update on the fence?
No, I don't, and I apologize, but I will. Personnel, but we don't have anything, right?
The other thing I wanna remind Colby is, evaluations, he's the supervisor of, Dave and Blaine, so those are coming up before July 1st. So you need to be thinking a little bit about those and really looking at what improvements each of the guys have had, and then the personnel committee would, supervise your evaluation and the meetings.
Wastewater committee, the letter went out, so we're in a holding pattern, right?
That's correct, and I'm supposed to have a phone call with Emily Hackett. She has a few questions about the letter.
Yeah, I saw that.
So- I'm supposed to have a call with her tomorrow.
Okay, but we don't have another Zoom call or anything like that.
Nothing's scheduled.
All right.
Is
it
about the extension?
Yes,
So we haven't heard anything yet.
No, we wrote the letter and now we have to wait and see how they respond.
Do we know what the parameters of the grant are? What could and could not be covered under the grant?
yeah, there was a pretty clear, well, I wouldn't say clear, actually, description of what would be covered. And within our letter, we listed out a few options that could potentially be covered. So I sent the letter the Tuesday after the last select board meeting, and then just followed up with them on Thursday last week. So otherwise, I don't know where that stands.
We have proposed some alternatives. So they might reject those. And if they do, then I think it's over. If they let us use some of the money to do some of our suggestions, then we can move forward. That's basically the way I look at it. You want to give the update, Bill, on flood update authority on that?
Everything that all the projects that we have done have been complete for a long time. They are all at CRC, which is in Puerto Rico. It's it's after the local staff and the FEMA offices here have gone through it and found that they completely understand it and that it makes sense. It then goes to CRC, whatever that stands for, I'm not sure. And they look at it again and they make sure that it meets all the funding requirements and they have all the information they need. And then it comes back from that. And the first thing, after it comes back from that, it is sent to the town for the signatures. That's the other part of the agenda item tonight. That is seeking permission to have those people sign off on it. Comes back to them for signatures, and then it goes to the state. The state has already sent us the overall financial agreement with the state to receive these funds as they are approved by FEMA and by the state. And so that paperwork has been done. When this comes back from CRC and is signed and sent to the state then looks at it, sends another group of financial documents to be signed. Those are sent back to the state and then we are paid. But it appears to me that since there haven't been any questions, there have been a couple of questions on a couple of projects here in town. But those are all answered and we have a very good staff right now at FEMA since about March 1st. Since these new people got on board, we have a very good staff, they're very responsive, and that hopefully, I don't know if we'll get a significant amount of money before the end of the fiscal year, but I'm hoping we will. And it looks a heck of a lot better than it did before. I have met today in Londonderry with, Senator Welch's, staff. She was over there to talk to the town and also wanted to hear from me for Grafton and for Londonderry on how FEMA's been performing. I told her how awful it was until the end of February, but that this new staff, and I named the names of the new staff, is really good, and we have been seeing a significant development since then. We are right now where we should have been in December if FEMA had people there that were competent and willing to work. But we lost 6 months. Just to show you that we weren't alone and that fortunately, we're not alone now. Ludlow, I talked to them today, they have nothing been submitted to CRC. He has $4.7 million. He's paid all the contractors and they're out $4.7 million. He finally has got the documentation to send to CRC, the very first step, for a $1.2 million project he did of the 4.7. So they're way behind. And I purposely haven't talked to any of them because I just hope that everybody was being pulled along and we're getting good treatment by FEMA, but it isn't the case. And we're really, well, we raised enough hell that they paid attention to us and they wanted to get us out of their hair. That's all I can say. Both Londonderry and Grafton, because the other towns aren't that far. So let's just hope that there aren't too many questions and nothing gets held up at CRC. I have to say this. One of the biggest projects they had over there was about 7 or 8 roads and all the paving. And one of those roads was $180,000 for the paving. That PW that had 7 or 8 roads in it was $488,000 cost the town. And that has been not only submitted to CRC, but now has been sent back from CRC and is being sent to Vermont for payout. So they might get 390 or whatever, 75% of that is really soon. And so hopefully we're right behind them. And I told that to the senator's staff. I said, I gave her the names and I told her that if she talks to FEMA and when she hears about FEMA, yeah, until these people showed up on scene, it was awful, but she should praise this staff and who's ever supervising. And I gave her all the names because they've done a really good job and they're doing a really good job for us. I don't know about the rest of the state. Ludlow said they're on the 7th PDMG, the person who's talking to them. We've had 2. Well, we've had 3, but one of them has come back. We really just have to. And the ones we got in at the beginning of the end of March, beginning of April, that's seen everything through and she answers all the questions and does everything. She responds as they did 3 years ago in the summer storm. That's something we should have. And so I'm hopeful that we'll get our. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Kathy?
Bill, so everything's been done, all the paperwork, all the projects are,
Well, I meant to say, except for Z, which is the administration, and that won't be until everything's done.
thank you, Bill. Thank you, Morgan, for all your work.
Any other comments on that?
Can we just get a motion to authorize myself and
Yeah, that was the next thing. Yeah, we need a motion to authorize Morgan to sign the flood update and the town clerk to handle all FEMA and state reimbursement forms. And we do that so that it just expedites things rather than having to wait and whatever. So we need a motion to do that. Bill, you had your hand up?
I want
You had your hand up?
to comment after you made the motion.
Oh, please. Okay. No, we need a motion to do that. Somebody will make that. So move.
I'll second that.
Second. Okay, Bill?
Morgan's been super. She knows all the stuff. She has it all at fingertip. She'll know when she gets the paperwork back, whether it's done, whether we're asking for the proper thing at the right amount of money, and Kim does too, so that's why I want them to be signing it. I have some knowledge of it, and she does it every day, and I think they should be signed.
Yeah, and Morgan will informs the board anyway, either in person or by email, what's going on, so. So any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Alrighty, and final business tonight is the sheriff contract. It's renewed, it's exactly how it used to be. $11,000. Which we budgeted for, and so it's basically what they've been doing the past year, so. Wendy?
I have a question about, the communication, and I should know the answer, but I don't, between the sheriff's department and the state police, and I'm thinking specifically of the incidents in Houghtonville recently. I've gone through there a couple of times, and both times the state police were there. So does the sheriff's department hear about that from the state police? Is that sort of, like, are they aware of these calls?
I don't know.
If it was through 911.
If it's,
And the
if
sheriff.
it's a 911, they all get it, but if it's not, then,
No, it's
They
not.
have to get it.
no, maybe Robbie will get it, huh?
They don't all,
They don't?
all 911 calls go through state police, they.
So if somebody calls 911, the state police come, then the sheriffs don't necessarily know about it.
Not necessarily, unless they're listening.
Wow. That's strange.
I thought it
I
was.
think that's the issue.
I would think that,
Even for us to get dispatched for 911, it goes to the state police, and if it's medical or fire, then the state police send it to Keene, and then they dispatch us. So there is like, we have an app on our phone now that it pops up, there's a pending call whenever anybody calls 911. So it may come out for us or it may not, depending on what it is. But that can be a 4 to 5 minute delay from the time that somebody calls 911 to when Keene gets it. It's kind of sad the way the 911 system works, honestly.
yes,
So the $11,000 contract, what exactly does that cover? I assume it's speed, any other services to town, and how many hours, or how is that formulated?
I know it's listed in there, it's approximately 14 hours of fiscal every month. And then they also, within that, it should say scope of work. Maybe on the front page.
yeah, such services shall include those duties and functions of the type coming within the jurisdiction and customarily rendered by the office, including but not limited to furnishing parole patrols, investigation, apprehending, preparing for prosecution, and final disposition of any motor vehicle violation, vehicle identification numbers, verification, and local ordinance violations. And they're supposed to patrol the main highways in town, I think, right now, wasn't it? And the stop signs and things like that, and that's the hours, I don't know where it is, but it's 14 hours a month.
But then it's not from that description, like the kind of an incident that Wendy was referring to, the sheriff definitely would need.
They're not involved.
But if they weren't told, they can't
Yeah.
come.
So now, because we have to completely contract with the sheriff's department for police. If you don't completely contract with them, you don't get them.
Yeah.
We are under state police.
Right.
No, but if you call the state police direct,
But we call 911.
but
They're
then,
gonna get the state police.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they dispatch state police, and
Right.
they do not dispatch the sheriff
No.
for any reason.
no, but you can call the sheriff direct also.
Yeah, but I'll give you an example that happened right out here yesterday. Car hit the stone wall out here yesterday, and the homeowner there called the sheriffs and they said, nope, call the state. police." So, if you don't have a townwide contract with them, like Vernon or somebody like that, then you're not coming.
I'm just thinking of communication, I wasn't thinking that they would respond to a call like that, but if there's a pattern of calls, you would think they would be interested, that's what. But they're only contracted for speeding and stuff, so that's fine.
Bill?
Apropos of this discussion, they're looking for another town to join them. Londonderry and 2 other towns have the policemen there at least 1.5 days a week on a shared basis. And they're looking for other towns to join them. Now, it isn't inexpensive, it isn't $11,000, but then you would have police protection. And then if you had an accident and call the sheriff, they would respond. But that's still available, and the sheriff, Mark is looking for people to join that
Well, that's something we're gonna would have to be in the budget. We don't have that kind of money and.
I know, but you don't have police protection right now.
Well, okay, I understand that, but I think that's something that we can talk about coming October. But right now, we have the sheriff has been servicing the town for us.
But I know I know we increased the hours last year.
Yeah, we did.
And then we also asked them specifically areas, because residents were complaining about the Townsend Road, they were complaining about the Cambridge Court, 121 Cambridge Court area for speeding and not stopping at the stop signs, and they did that. I would think we'd have, if we had a concern, we'd call them up, and they've been really good about doing some of those things that we wanted, so. I like Phil's idea about, sharing costs instead of hours, you know. Sometimes we can't even do those 14 hours because they're called out on another incident. Something to think about.
Well, yeah, it is, but I mean, there's no way we have that money in the budget to do something like that until next year or so. So do we have somebody make a motion to approve this contract? Or not approve it,
Can we,
or
is
bring
there
the
a
sheriff
deadline?
in it? How do you want to handle it?
Before July 1st.
Before it starts, please? Can we make some
You want
inquiries?
him to come in? Huh?
Yeah, since we pointed out we'd like them to cover Cambridge Port and Townsend Road, I haven't seen them in the town of Grafton Village since then. And, I don't think that they've been putting in the number of hours that they said. Yeah.
Have them come in. Let's not do it.
But you want me to reach out to them?
Yeah, have them come to the next select board meeting if they can, or whatever. they
And then you
can.
can ask them questions that I just asked about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it would be a good idea. I agree. Any other business? Whether we had any public comments? Okay, sorry.
The connection, did you ever get a bid on the connection for the, reconnection or something with the generator?
Oh, the transfer.
Transfer, yeah.
No, I did not.
We have one bid, I think, but we need to get another one.
Okay, yeah, that fell
I
out.
remember seeing that and I wanted to bring it up, sorry, I didn't
No,
read
that's
that.
fine, thank you.
Any other business? Ken?
On another note too, the fire escape is another one.
I know, that's lingering in my head too.
The what?
Fire escape. Fire escape. But I did also want to bring up, not to forget, and I'll be reminding you one more time, that the polls will be open here on June 25th. From 9 AM to 7 PM upstairs here for voting for our new select board meeting.
There was another hand up, Wendy.
I couldn't get to the last meeting, so I'm sorry I wasn't here to respond at that point, but when the discussion came up about this election coming up, the chair, as Suzanne would say, the chair, you made a remark, Joe, about how it's taken all this time and money to do this election, and I initiated a petition because I was concerned about board members being handpicked and asked to serve and not having elections. And I think democracy takes time and money, even $200 in the request. So that's why I initiated it.
Okay, that's your prerogative. Bill?
There's a emergency management meeting on June 12th. For the hazard mitigation plan, is that correct?
We have not confirmed a date yet.
Okay, when that date is confirmed and word gets out, we get paid $40 a person to show up for the meeting. It's an $8,000 grant. We owe 10% or 20% of that. Last time we did the hazard mitigation plan, by people showing up and participating in the meeting, signing in is not participation, but we wanted to do more than that. We get paid for that hour, like $40 an hour, or if it's 2 hours, $80. And we pay for the whole share that we owe out of the volunteers. So if you see the announcement and if you have a lot of interest in the hazard mitigation plan, or if you just have nothing else to do that night, it'd be great to show up because we can pay our share of that grant.
Well, Kim, let us know. I mean, Morgan, let us know.
Okay.
Anybody else? If not, motion to adjourn to go into executive session. Thank you for fighting, everybody.
Not on the agenda.
I know, we amended it at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what is the reason for it?
We have an incident with an individual homeowner, we need to deal with. Over a road, yeah.
I see.
And it could be a legal issue, so. we can discuss that. Yeah.